What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane podcast, episode number 62 today, to round up the Formula 1 news and preview the Malaysian Grand Prix today with your usual hosts, myself, Callum, and Tom. And we're going to start off with the most recent news, or I hope the most recent news. Knowing our luck, there may have been some breaking news that goes from Monday over to Tuesday night. But what was dropped yesterday on a Monday was the announcement, the official announcement. There was already some teasing at the Singapore Grand Prix on the grid, but the official announcement now that Aston Martin will be the new title sponsor for Red Bull Racing. It will be known as Aston Martin, or Red Bull Racing Aston Martin or something like that. I don't know, racing, whatever it is. Does it really matter which way around it is? I don't know.
It's a mouthful either way.
It's a mouthful. It definitely is a mouthful. It's 4 different words, or 5 different words with racing in it as well.
Just abbreviate it with the initials. Just call them AMRBR. Just abbreviate it.
AMRBR, yeah. It's got a nice ring to it, actually, that one. That short words has got a ring to it.
But yeah,
copyright on that. I want royalties for that one. I'll take a royalty check.
But yeah, Aston Martin Red Bull Racing coming in. So that's the title sponsor for next year. And then there's some little inklings that potentially that could turn into then Aston Martin developing an engine for 2021. Maybe. It's a big if, because the if was from the Aston Martin head guy that was at the Singapore Grand Prix. I think we mentioned this last time, maybe. I don't know. But vaguely, it was, I think vaguely, that he said if the rules were to their liking and the cost was down, they would maybe make an engine. But the main thing is just the title sponsor and obviously cash injection, cash money for the Red Bull team.
All the money's really. But we kind of saw it coming, in a sense, because obviously
of course.
With the certain interviews from Christian Horner, they were kind of hinting at it. Plus, they said, it's someone that we've already worked with before. That is a manufacturer of that caliber. You kind of thought, it is Aston Martin. And obviously, we've already saw the flood of activity with liveries. Obviously, they can change the livery if they want. I do hope they do a good job of it. Because we've had this Red Bull Racing kind of livery. We've had it for a very long time. Like, it's been obviously changed, it's been changed quite a bit, obviously, with colours and just the way it's been laid out. But I think now we're going to see probably quite a different looking Red Bull for next year. But very, very exciting. Obviously, it is going to be a bit of a mouthful. But I'm quite excited to see it because even if they are only a title sponsor, it's still good to see that more manufacturers, or at least some manufacturers, are still trying to keep their name on the F1 scene.
Yep.
I think it's a bit of a weird one, to be fair. Like, it sort of doesn't have any consistency with the Toro Rosso engine announcement from last week. It just feels like they're both just slowly veering off, because if Toro Rosso have got Honda, the plan was apparently rumoured that Honda would be Toro Rosso would be Honda's test dummy, and then eventually, if that would go well, then Red Bull would transition over to Honda Power for 2019. Unless Red Bull are only planning on that to be a short-term fix until 2021, maybe. But just a bit.
It'd be Aston Martin, Red Bull Racing, Honda.
Oh, again,
that's a
all
mouthful.
the names.
All
the names.
That's far too dense. That's too much, man. AMRBRH, too much. It's too much.
Far too much of
roll
a
off the
thick
tongue.
name. That's a thick name, that is.
Literally, they'd have to recreate special custom F1 graphics and standings just to fit all of that in the constructor tag. It'd be like every name, Scuderia, Ferrari, Mercedes, all like this, and then Red Bull was like out of the picture, out of the TV. Like an extra monitor to see the whole name.
No, but on a real, I think, Tom, we need to steer clear of Arif, because he's predicted yet another thing within his own My Driver series for the real Formula 1.
A year in advance, I like that.
Where is your crystal ball, and where are my lottery numbers?
Oh, mine wasn't too far off.
Yeah, but you did mine after me. I did mine a year ago. Like,
sorry, mate.
Get with the program here.
Well, I hope my livery is accurate. Here. I hope at least I can say it with the livery. So hopefully that's accurate at least. So
I don't think they'll change it too much. I hope they splash colour on it. I hope they did like what they did with Infinity when they splashed the purple on. Hope they maybe splash some sort of colour. But I don't. I think we'll probably still see that kind of, I guess, iconic
the
sort of Red Bull.
Still be red.
The balls on the cover and the balls on the front. I think will probably be there still.
Make like a little hybrid logo, have like 2 balls
Perhaps.
among the little. Obviously, they'd never do that because logos are
you
the way you advertise.
You could actually give the balls wings.
Like actual Aston Martin wings.
The Red Bull finally got wings after all this time. That's quite good, actually. But no, on a real though, I just think it's nice to see that we've got another manufacturing name, because obviously Infinity, Okay, it's a manufacturer, but it's not a racing manufacturer as such. So the fact that we've got Aston Martin and obviously another British manufacturer as well, I think it's just all around quite good for them. Obviously, it's another cash injection as well, which might help them. I feel
just
like
nice.
they've got plenty of money. Obviously, with Red Bull already being on their car and the success they've had from that. But other than that, I'm
just nice to see some change.
Just the prospect.
Just a name change is nice, really. It's just not the same boring stuff year after year. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
But other than that, I think that was the only news really we've got from Red Bull, because they've still been quite sceptical of engines. They've still been quite sceptical with drivers. I feel like there's still more to come from Red Bull. I feel like there's going to be a bit of a waiting game. I don't know what you two think.
I think it's like we mentioned, I think last podcast, like it's almost everything's setting up for a very interesting 2019 transfer market, but at the moment everything's settled, and I think maybe Red Bull's very settled even, despite maybe there being the kind of odd journalists maybe poking at the whole Verstappen thing. I still think it's going to be, nothing's going to come of it quite yet. I think 2019, like we said, it's bubbling away to be very, very nice.
Yeah,
indeed
well,
for that.
Even next season now is looking pretty good. I mean, we sort of spoke about it in the last podcast, but just to sort of briefly mention it, but next season, we could see GASLY probably in Toro Rosso.
So, just a little interjecting snippet here. You may notice, if you're watching the video version of the podcast, that we look a little bit different. Our clothes have changed because we're inserting this late. We recorded the original podcast on a Monday. It was meant to go out on a Tuesday. It's now going to be all the way on Wednesday night that it comes out, because the news dropped on Tuesday, the very news we were talking about, actually, and we might talk about later in this podcast, about GASLY being announced for Toro Rosso. It's actually going to happen earlier than we ever thought, because it was looking like, logically, it would just happen at the end of next season, because, Sainz and, Kvyat are going to stay put. But no, GASLY is going to step in, or the language was used, step in for a few races. We've also said races. The confirmed one is Malaysia. So this upcoming race, Gasly's in, Kvyat out. He's taken a back seat to break, as it were, from the press release. They've tried to basically not be as harsh as possible to Daniel, and that's fair enough. Obviously, Gasly has one race left in Super Formula, so I imagine he will take that race off, which is USA, and then come back for the next two, I would imagine, because it said in the press article, races. They want to kind of see how he does for races. So that's the news that dropped on the day after we recorded this podcast. So if we do talk about it later in this podcast as if it's still a potential, that's how you know why. But any kind of thoughts on that actually happening now, straight away, Malaysia, literally the next race, guys?
Well, what was it in the last podcast? When we spoke about Sainz moving to Renault, I literally said Kvyat can count himself very lucky, because probably thanks to Sainz switching teams, Kvyat staying put, maybe not so much. So that's really come out of nowhere, and in the end, Kvyat's actually ended up without a driver anyway, because of his shocking performance at Singapore and that painfully painful crash that he had, which was like, you just watch him, he's like,
no,
he's not going to make the corner, he's not going to make it, but he's still turning, poor thing, oh no. And he just
was that in the 4 points he's got?
Yeah, and the qualifying record, which I think is pretty, I think it's like Kvyat 4 and Sainz 55 or something like that, or like
what?
Kvyat versus teammate,
Jesus,
something like that. I don't know. I saw it today, and it was absolutely mental. So Kvyat, I think, obviously,
Kvyat out.
Like how you said this, it's lucky Red Bull don't have a very deep driver program, which I think is mentioned later on in this podcast. But
that's topic ahead of the podcast.
We're trying to switch here, but yeah,
I mentioned that.
That's going to save Kvyat for now, and probably for next season, until Red Bull find someone else.
The main thing, though, is the fact that I think, like Tom, what you just mentioned, his crash in Singapore, I think I specifically remember saying in the Singapore podcast, there was just something about it that was just so well-roundedly bad that it almost felt like it had further repercussions. It was just such a silly sort of crash. But obviously I didn't mean it that literally, but it has actually come that literally, to the fact where he's been, not kicked out, because that's the wrong word, because he's still, Toro Rosso haven't,
he's still there.
Parted, he's still there and everything.
They benched him.
He's been sidelined by, they've benched him in footballing terms, and in terms of Daniel Kvyat, let's just think about it. He's been booted or dropped twice in less than 2 years. In Red Bull and in Toro Rosso. He hasn't even got a drive for the rest of the season. Now, let's see if he will. Obviously, he might do the USA Grand Prix, for example. But cannot wait till Thursday, which is tomorrow as we record this, to see what his reaction is to all this. Obviously, we haven't seen a reaction from him. But obviously, there has been some reactions saying, oh, look at people be really, like, sorry for him. But then people being all, like, brutal about it. The well-rounded thing is, he's been benched because he's shit. Like, that's basically why. And is it going to help his confidence?
Happy.
No. Is it going to help him in any way? No.
He outscored Ricciardo 2 seasons ago in a Red Bull. And up until that podium, he was better than Ricciardo. And now it's just literally, it's not even this, it's like this.
In the moment now.
Back inside.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That has happened. You can't change that. In the moment now, I'm just so happy that Gasly is actually going to get a chance now. And it's so much earlier than I thought. Like, it's going to be awesome to see him and Sainz in the same team for me personally. But I think a lot of people are going to we're looking forward to that, like, for next season. But the fact it's going to be 4 races earlier, really awesome. Man. But yeah, I mean, yes, that trajectory is on for. It's kind of like the pound after Brexit, just like tanked a little bit. Like, he got that podium and then no.
The thing is as well, like, the big winner obviously is Gasly because he gets a little bit of experience before. It's kind of like the same reason that Sainz was linked to Renault, is the fact that he can get maybe a couple of races in before the start of the next season, which obviously is always going to give some experience. And FP1 run-ins doesn't always give the most amount of experience. You need a good bit of racing
full race
experience.
Weekend.
But obviously, Kvyat missing out. Okay, will he lose a little bit? Maybe a little bit. I think it's more mental things rather than.
I mean, it's not the same
how to drive it and everything, but it will not be the same. The fact that he didn't finish the 2017 season, but I said it. I'm just happy to see Gasly in. Like,
I mean, for him, it's going to be. For him, it's going to be getting used to the 2017 era, whereas Kvyat, he's done he's going to miss the last 4, but he's already done that entire kind of season of it. So it's like, okay, I can remember what it's like. But for Gasly, I think Buxton brought it up quite well. This is going to be a really good opportunity for him just to kind of get settled in before he embarks on a full season, because it's kind of like, okay, so now I know what the car's kind of like. It's not going to change too dramatically for next year, aero-wise and like the pace-wise. So really good for that, and it's going to be great. Remember, we actually, I don't know if we would have mentioned this already before this snippet or after it, but because Charles is also in the Sauber, it's just awesome now. We're going to have Charles Leclerc in FP1 in the Sauber. At the same time on track, you're going to have Gasly in the Toro Rosso, and you can kind of throw in the F3 champion Stroll and the Williams. Kind of nice to see actually some young drivers all in the same session now. Like, yeah, I mean, we a lot of times we've complained about F1 being very... Yeah, we've complained about F1 being very, stuck in its ways, not wanting to move on, give young drivers a chance. And now, suddenly, we've got this little prospect of, like, these 3 youngsters in the same session now in F1.
The second everyone started to outcry for it, it's all happened all of a sudden.
Yeah.
It's all just going to be about the driver. Like we mentioned, we talk about more drivers in the podcast before or after, so I won't say anything. But the summary of Kvyat is basically, he's already dead. Like, leave him alone. Stop kicking him so much. Stop benching him, like, leave him alone, man.
It's like you've shot him once, you don't need to put another round in. Like, you can lay off the bullets on that one.
But, I think on that note, I think that's a very good analogy to end it on. So we'll end the snippet and we'll continue on with the podcast.
Obviously, it's bubbling away for 2019, but already for next season, I think I'm really looking forward to seeing Sainz and Hulkenberg as a Renault pairing. That is going to be dynamite. And also Mclaren with Renault power, top 5s, top 6, but they got to be best of the rest at least. They have to be best of the rest. And they're going to be neck and neck, in my opinion, with Renault. Like, the top 5, like, constructors next season is going to be the 5 big boys, finally, after so much time. It's going to be Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, Renault, McLaren, and who knows if Williams actually, like, decide to put effort into their car. They could be the 6th best car. So that could be pretty damn good, in my opinion. Full-on manufacturers is going at it and really closing the gap at the sharp end. So, no, every season just gets more exciting. Unfortunately, we've still got Halo on the way, but other than that, it's looking good.
I think also as well with manufacturers is, if you think about it, obviously when BMW and Toyota walked out, of all the names, obviously, they're still like the lower down names. I'm just liking the fact that we've got more higher up names as well. But also mentioning the super license thing, I may as well drip this in because I've literally just found it on motorsport.com. They've actually changed it to just Formula 2 in IndyCar that offers the maximum amount of points. I don't know whether you two are very familiar on it. I've only just learned it as I've read it.
It basically
the maximum amount of points they can offer is 40 points to the top 3 in that category. So basically they've gotten rid of the fact that the European Formula 3, Formula E, and the WEC, they've all got significantly less FIA super license points, which basically does mean that they are really trying to funnel everyone through Formula 2, which obviously they're trying to do anyway.
Which is good.
But they really have opened it up, yeah. Which
because it might get
really
rid of some of them older F2 drivers. I'm not going to mention any names. Chikoto.
Yeah, like the F2 career drivers, where it's just like they're just an F2 driver all their life. Yeah. And speaking of F2, obviously we got that news that was very, very finally good to see, and kind of, I don't know, hopefully kind of confirms eventually that for 2018 that will be a thing. Charles Leclerc getting the seat at Sauber for the practice for the last 4 rounds, not last 4,
Gio
the next
to
4
follow.
rounds. We'll see. I'm still skeptical. I've seen being tweeted like half and half. Like some people seem to have this very big confidence out of nowhere that he is going to get that seat. I'm not too sure because I've not read or seen anything that suggests that really. So I'm still keeping my feet on the ground for that one. It would be great, but I'm keeping my feet on the ground for that one. But that at least kind of confirms that Charles hopefully will be getting that seat at Sauber, which is absolutely great because obviously he's still doing a great job in F2 and the confidence that shows of hopefully Ferrari to one day, we've talked about that before as well, kind of just getting prepared for that Ferrari seat eventually, hopefully one day when Kimi does step down. So yeah, looking forward to seeing him in action starting from Malaysia, so that'll be good.
I was thinking about this the other day. I'm not going to say much, but there's been a lot of driver academies, but oddly enough, Ferrari has the best one in Formula 1 right now, if you think about it. Because they got Seb and Kimi, then they've got further down the ladder they've got Charles Leclerc and Gio, and then they've got people like Fuoco just behind. They've got good depth in there, and you could argue any day from now they might sign up Mick Schumacher, who's currently racing for Prema. So it could get deep, even deeper still.
Yeah.
So it went from Red Bull to the deepest.
Well, I think the Red Bull one has just used up all of its prospects in the last couple of years, and it's already kind of forced the production line on a little bit. And now it's like, oh, we've run out of drivers. Shit, what do we do? Like, you can drive my car for the time being. I kind of like that though, because I was kind of, I don't know about you, but like you two, but I was bored of the Red Bull driver program. Too much focus on that. I think we needed to find drivers from somewhere else. And the fact that obviously, when you see a driver such as coming up through the Mercedes Academy, such as Ocon, and then you've got drivers such as Leclerc and Giovinazzi coming through the Ferrari one, it's nice to see that other academies are working, because we've already been demonstrated since Vettel that the Red Bull driver program works. So it's just good to see that there's other solid prospects.
It's good to see
academies working.
A lot more academies pop up. You got Mercedes with George Russell also in F3, GP3, and he said F3, GP3.
Oliver Rowland in Renault.
Yeah, you've got Renault with Oliver Rowland as well. Yeah, you've got McLaren, you've got De Vries and Lando Norris. So it's good to see there's like a lot of the top teams now are investing in this kind of program method rather than just kind of going.
And the super license system just helps that.
Yeah, instead of just going, all right, so who's a young prospect we're going to try and maybe get into our seat for something or get in a lower team. Now it's kind of more like, right, let's cherry pick them and kind of help them in the background, develop them, get them into our factory, kind of already immerse them in our world so they kind of get moulded, I guess you could say.
It's rather like, obviously going against the idea of what they did with Hamilton, where it was like Ron Dennis was like, I choose you and only you.
It's like...
And you will drive our car one day.
Yeah. It's kind of like on that kind of moulding thing. It's kind of like there was some like little, words when Perez joined McLaren about him having to kind of alter himself a little bit to the McLaren way of things, like ditch the scruffy hairstyle and whatnot, look the part, kind of very kind of McLaren-esque, obviously. so it's sort of things like little things like that as well, because it does matter at the end of the day if a driver feels
they're marketing
comfortable.
tools, aren't they?
Yeah,
so...
if the guy feels comfortable in the team and stuff like that. So yeah, like you've got De Vries and Lando Norris, they're already immersed in the whole McLaren thing. They do stuff for McLaren PR.
Well, Lando Norris is copying Alonso.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Sitting in that gravel trap.
Sitting in the gravel trap after his latest crash that takes his F3 title to the wire. You've got the Renault guys. Aitken just got a drive in the Renault car, the 2012 one around Jerez. Just PR stuff as well. So it's all important for these young drivers to get that kind of immersion in there for their respective team. So yeah, good stuff.
But I think we can move on to the next thing, which I think I don't know what's the biggest of the kind of news at the minute, because I've been looking. And with the idea around the demo events, which obviously you two were literally just speaking before we came straight in, and the fact that they're going to be using the current cars to demo events next year, which I think is so much better, because you only get one opportunity. Like we went to Silverstone, and you only get them 3 days to see the current cars, and then that's it. And obviously you've got to fork out a lot of money to go see them cars. So the fact that they're going to be allowing the audiences of Formula One to see the current cars, I think is so much better, because it's as much as it's nice to see a Formula One car, when you see a 2012 car slapped on a 2017 livery slapped on a 2012 car, you're like, could they not at least give something a little bit more recent?
I think it's an interesting topic, because you look at it on the whole, and it's like when we went to the live event in London, it would be sick to see the current Gen F1 cars, but at the same time, I'm like, I heard that V8 rev up, and I'm just like, ooh.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so like, it's good news, but at the same time, I'm like, just stick a V8 in that for the demo event, please, and keep it 2018 car, if that's possible, just to give us the best of both worlds. But yeah, good news, but bad. I mean, those 2018 cars will have a halo, unless they take them off, maybe for demo events, which would be better. That would be sick, to be fair.
I doubt they do that.
But,
I would doubt they do it. But...
Same. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, it's just what you prefer, sound or looks. I mean, like, I looked at the 2013 Sauber skinned in a 2017 skin at F1 Live, and I was like, oh, they could have just brought a bit of an updated car, to be fair. Like, it looks a bit piss poor, but then it sounds bloody lovely. So, it depends. I think it's good for like those who don't know F1 to see what like a current Gen F1 car is.
It's also good for teams like Haas, who couldn't even feel the car at that event.
Yeah, basically. And also I think it's good in a way, because when you do these sort of events, it sort of those who don't really know F1 that well, or are not familiar with the sport, when they actually see an F1 car, everyone sort of associates it with that sort of loud screeching noise, but in reality it's these sort of low tone beasts now. So when they see them, they're like, oh, okay, this is what F1 is now. So I guess in that regard it gives it a more realistic representation of what Formula 1 is nowadays. But yeah, I think that's just, what do you prefer, sound or looks, basically?
I think you'd want a mix, wouldn't you? You'd want a mix when it goes to them sort of
I'm
events,
sort of hoping Sauber,
when we went Silverstone, you heard the V10s, you're like,
oh mate,
like we were all just looking at each other like, oh my god.
Yeah, that'd be sick. But yeah,
I like the mix. But actually, funnily enough, talking about engine notes, have you heard about the idea that they're wanting to bring? Well, they've been talking about it for quite a while.
Mics?
But they're actually considering. Would it be microphones or would it be speakers?
Well, the thing is, they already have mics somewhere, like up and down the car, but I think they want to bring better ones, and strategically place them a little bit nearer to the exhaust in more cleverer places to enhance how they sound coming across to the TV, because the TV cameras do a piss poor job of making the cars sound like they do in real life. Because in real life, they do sound a lot better than they do on the TV feeds at the moment.
McLaren
different
sounds
engine
pretty
notes.
sweet.
Oh yeah.
The bag of nails. You get used to hearing that at Toronto next season.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the Honda sound. I love the Honda sound.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You could. That's the good thing though. You can hear why the Honda is bad. Like as it went past, you're like, well, that
sounds like it's shaking apart.
Yeah, you can hear
even
the
though it sounds like
backfiring
it's dying. Yeah, but I feel like, although like there was an onboard of, I want to say Pierre Gasly. He put it on his Twitter. And I think is he in
Super Formula?
Yeah,
Super Formula, Japan.
and their T cams, you just hear wind. So you do start to appreciate the FIA cameras.
Yeah.
Like they've already nailed it to a T anyway. But yeah, I think they need to change it a little bit so you can. It's just the notes, isn't it? Because I think the cars sound a little bit too monotonous on board. Like whenever you see, this is why obviously when you see in Facebook when they post a poll up and all the people are I want V10s back, give me my V10s. When in reality, it's just the onboard cameras that are making them sound a little bit crap.
They just need to be louder. That's it. Like literally have onboards on TV, but have the mic be on the back of the exhaust pipe so you can get all the sort of all the bubbling and just everything, all the little noises you get. But yeah, I think other than that, no more major
I've got
news.
one to speak to you about.
Ooh,
and this is something that Martin Brundle was having a bit of a moan about as well. The Stegosaurus on the back of the Force India, the weird
the
on
new
top
shark
of
fin
the.
development, yeah.
What?
Right, I want to ask you a question. Are we starting to get a little bit too ridiculous with these new aero regs already?
It's getting there.
The way they look.
Yeah.
I
can't see it lasting past 2019, to be honest. I mean, to be fair, you could just, FIA could be like, right, you know what? We've got new engines in 2021. Why not just put brand new air on the car and just let's see what everyone does and just throw it all against the wall. So, I mean, we could see that. That'd be pretty sick. I'd happily stick with these current cars for another 4 years and then have a big, just F1 change in 2021, like just engines, aero, everything. That's what I would do anyway if I was Jean Todt.
I don't know.
But I'm not.
I just don't.
know about you, Arav.
I don't like what Brundle was suggesting. Of just like I'd never want to hear like FIA actively looking to just ban creativity from what engineers do in these areas of the cars. Like, yeah, they might look a little bit weird to you because you're from the previous era when things were so simple. But now that's why things aren't so simple. These engineers are so clever now. There's the knowledge of aerodynamics has moved on so much that these guys know what they're doing and they know what they want to do with the air around those parts of the cars.
We've said it
so
before.
It's like,
if you want to innovate, like completely innovate, the ground effects the way forward because no one's really touched that in F1, to be honest.
well, yeah, if you don't want
We've said it before.
if you want to solve other issues and maybe make the cars look simpler above, open that back up. But if you're not, I don't want to see the FIA actively block parts of the cars. Oh, you can't develop this on this part because it just looks odd. Because then you're just artificially slowing the cars down. You may as well, if you want to do that, you may as well go the whole hog and actually artificially slow them down in the area which would help dirty air, which is the front wing complexity, rather than, there's an odd-looking shark fin on the Force India now. Oh, dearie me.
Or just put grooves in the tyres again.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like, stuff like that. It's just way too much. Like, it's just way too much active involvement in interfering with engineers' jobs.
The reason I brought it up was because obviously I know Martin Brundle was pretty much like throwing it about, and to be fair, like I didn't like the look of it. If I'm honest, like I didn't. It looked funky. Don't get me wrong. Like
but it's not one of them things that you look at.
Gone into that, but
It's
it looked
like
a
a
head
penis
trimmer.
nose where you're like, it's like a penis nose where you just look at it and you're like, what is that thing on the car? You didn't notice it.
You can't see those things from the television screens or from the grandstands. You can see the dick nose very prominently. Like you look back at 2014 replays, it's like, how did we survive with these ugly ass cars?
I still don't know how some cars have them. Like they should be gone. I don't know why we still have them. Or like
it's not as bad as 2014. Like,
no,
that
but
was an
even
actual
still,
boner.
It's a shame because these cars are beautiful and they've got they're literally these cars are beautiful. Yet they've got a 1-inch wonder on the tip of the fripping nose. Like they need. Even if they force the regulations, so literally, if they can force the regs, so it's like a Mercedes style, where they just bring it down to like a triangular point or something, just something like you can have it as low as you want, but just bring it aesthetically like down a bit, just to make it nice. And it looks so much better. Like I saw a Photoshop the other day. I don't know who made it, but I saw the Ferrari with like a Mercedes nose, and it looked insane. Like it looks so good, and you're like, oh wow, they actually had that. That looked pretty sick. And like cars like the Williams as well, the Renault, so many cars just like having a nice nose would look so much better, in my opinion. Anyway, like
get the plastic surgeon in, change some noses in here.
literally get a full-on genital rearrangement surgery and get the penis off and whatever.
I think that's the thing though. It's just the fact that like obviously with the T-wings, which are literally looking like.
I'm glad the T-wings are gone. They're getting a bit too heavy now.
It's just the fact that they look like you put some. It's like you put towels on it.
It's
You know what I
no,
mean?
it's not
Like-
just like they put like a barbecue grill on the flipping shark fin. Literally, you could get that, break it off, stick it on the barbecue, the 3 like lines, and just stick some meat on there. Like it just
Yeah.
like a barbecue grill. Like
Oil it
we're
up.
seeing 3 elements, so we could see 4 very soon.
I think.
Yeah, it was
right,
Damn it.
that's perfect spot to end it.
Yeah, it was.
Or
Yeah,
not end it,
that's
but-
why. That's why I just used a
Yeah, yeah.
good pause. Right, you can just continue on now.
I
That's
saw
right.
the
Go on.
door.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was going to say.
I was just saying, like we could even see like 4 elements by the end of the season, like 4 bits.
4 elements would just look like, oh god, it just look weird. But then again, obviously we're getting up to like 9 elements on the front wing.
Yeah,
So-
but
It's just
it doesn't,
natural
it doesn't
progression.
I like
aesthetically
the
look
look
the
of that,
same.
Just
though. Yeah.
It's just natural progression
That's-
for them to keep sticking things on.
Like a T-wing,
I'm
if you
not.
look at the low drag
I'll play
Ferrari
devil's
one,
advocate. I don't give a fuck. Do whatever you want to the cars. Make them
Nah,
look like
get 'em
absolute
off.
rocket ships. Stick out coat racks as much as you want. Because obviously it's a very different perspective. But having done engineering, I appreciate when I see good work. That's good work. They're doing
Yeah.
the best they can. You know,
I
seems like
just-
Force India bring a triple element thing with little teeth. It's nice to see they're actually trying to progress still. I mean, I think Callum was saying before the podcast, they're bringing more aero updates for Malaysia, hopefully,
Yeah, they are.
with an engine update as well, because Mercedes actually had one, I think, for Singapore. But
I've got them
they-
R&D
they-
points saved up.
But they were the only ones with it. They were like to the customer teams, you're going to have to wait till Malaysia or something. So, I don't know, maybe just different perspective. I don't really care too much about something like that.
I just think it's getting like, for example, at the start of the season when you saw a Ferrari, that's the thing. There's T-wings and there's T-wings. Like I don't like the Mercedes one because it's like completely separate to the shark fin. But you look at the Ferrari one, it's actually on the end of the shark fin. And at the start of the season, or even in the low drag circuits, they had just a simple 1 element, and it's painted in white, the same color as the shark fin, so it just looks nicer. But when you look at like the full India, which is all pink, and it's got this quadruple, triple sliced thing in a circle shape on the
Cheese
end
grater.
of the shark fin. Nah, mate, get it off. Like, get it out. Shark T-wing out. Get them out, blood. You know what I'm saying?
T-wings
the shark fin's
aside-
good. The shark fin's good because the cars look so weird without the shark fin now. So
Yeah.
that's got to stay. But the T-wing can just piss off.
I mean, that's just aesthetics. Aerodynamically, the Force India one probably works with them quite well.
T-wings aside, though, what are we
but-
predicting?
yeah, I was
going
gonna
to
say,
the
let's-
hot box
Let's go towards Malaysia and look at that.
final.
And,
Is it final Malaysian Grand Prix?
Yep.
yes,
Yeah,
it
final.
is the final Malaysian Grand Prix. So let's get to
Hopefully a
the
bit of rain.
predictions.
Very nice.
Let's get to the predictions and just generally also preview wise. What are we saying? Do we think Seb can bounce back? Obviously,
I'll make an early prediction.
big dent.
Verstappen first retirement of the Grand Prix.
Wow, you must be
What
putting
a-
that
in there.
What an amazing prediction that is. That's a low chance. Low
Sign
chance.
Well,
off.
well, I mean, I'm saying because at this point you think he wouldn't retire anymore. I mean, the ratio is
Okay, then.
above half the
All right.
races now.
All right,
But
fairs.
um,
All right, what are we saying? Pole position?
Seb, he has to bounce back. Pressure's on. He's got to pull
All right.
one out of the bag.
Lewis Hamilton.
I'm going to say Bottas. Just
Oh.
walk odd. Bottas, just out there.
Oh,
That's being brave of Bottas because he's had a few shoddy couple of races.
Yeah, he's had
Ever
a
since his
couple of
contract was
shockers.
announced, he's
Yeah, I'm
dropped
just gonna.
off.
Yeah,
My
I'm just
man's
gonna,
been on
I'll throw it
holiday.
out there. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw it.
He has been.
I'd like to see at this point. I think this is the perfect time for Bottas to show up a little bit. Pole position, Bottas. All right, so
top five. Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Nico Hulkenberg.
Maybe
Why?
not Nico.
Because Lewis Hamilton is going to have what happened to him last season.
Oh, could you imagine?
Why he's gonna have another
That
engine
happened to him.
blowout?
Or no, but something will happen.
Something will happen.
He's yet to not like have a race where
Well-
he doesn't score a point this season.
It's
So-
only Ocon and Lewis Hamilton that haven't had a retirement this season.
I
Only
got
them
that
two drivers now.
feeling it's going to happen again. Something's going to happen, and I think
Alright.
this will be the race.
Well, as the Hamilton fan,
I
I,
mean,
really
I'd-
do hope that doesn't happen.
I'd love to see that thing go scrap, pop, 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 pop. But
oh, for God's
you know,
sake, get in the bin. Get in the
we'll
bin
see.
before you
no,
go any
no, no,
further.
no. I'd see if we get in there, but
I think, because obviously Malaysia's always been quite a strong track for Mercedes, so I'm going to have to say Mercedes 1-2 with LH first, VB second. I'm going to do this up for all of them.
Ooh.
A bit of DR, and then a bit of SV,
Oh.
and then a bit of
Oh,
KR.
oh, man! Not even a throw in the podium. Mad.
All right, I'm
Bold.
gonna go for Hamilton first. We're going Vettel second. Bottas third. Going to go Ricciardo fourth. Verstappen fifth. Raikkonen has an issue somewhere in that race.
It's quite interesting, actually, because I'm thinking about Red Bull. How will Red Bull perform at Malaysia? Because they were decent at Singapore. Like, they were almost there.
Until Sunday.
Obviously, we go until Sunday. But now, obviously, we're going to a track with... It's quite long straights. It is, I'd say,
long straights, but high-speed corners as well.
But it's a lot of... it is still reasonably high downforce. And Red Bull have always still... And they've gone quite well around there in recent years as well. Obviously, last year, they beat the Ferraris. Obviously, Ferraris did have slight issues at the start of the race, but I don't know. I feel like we shouldn't fully discount Red Bull because I feel like there's been slowly working up some momentum.
Yeah,
true. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, like Ferrari have performed better in the warmer tracks. Like, I think Vettel won at Bahrain.
He did.
Yeah.
Vettel won at Spain. No, that was someone else.
that idea kind of
No, I know it's by someone else. Vettel won at Bahrain. Yeah, that's confirmed. Yeah, I guess Monaco, Hungary, Australia.
It's the high.
Australia is a warmer race.
I suppose you could say that the more hotter races, but
I mean, what is Malaysia really like? Do you know what I mean?
It's a bit of a wish-washy one.
And also, there's the added fact.
Especially
if you could see some. I was just about to say, we could see some monsoon rains. You never know.
It would be nice.
The pennies flipped and the Red Bulls looked the fastest again.
Or just, it wouldn't, just for the final time Malaysia, it would be nice to see a Malaysia-esque monsoon, just to make things interesting.
Also, on a side note, the thing that the FIA are doing, or Formula One just generally, that they're releasing a full race of the Malaysian Grand Prix from recent years, either 2001, 2004, 3, can't remember which one, the one that had Alonso's first race win, and 2012. And was it just me that was kind of gutted that they haven't chosen 2012?
No, not me. I think.
Okay.
No. I've got a reason for this, and I'm like, honestly, with today's day and age, and especially the quality of today's races, you can easily go back and watch 2012 race in pretty much HD quality anywhere. You can't watch, for example, the 2001 race anywhere really in decent quality.
The only reason I say otherwise is because I don't know whether you two have watched the 2001 season review, but that's all over YouTube. So I know that race from back to front. Like, I know exactly what happens. I'd much rather do the 2012, where obviously the likes of Justin was like everyone must watch everyone must vote for
just
2012.
Upload all 3 races, mate.
Yeah, well, I don't get why they didn't just upload all 3, to be honest.
But it's a step in the right direction. Another good step in the right direction.
Yeah. Surprising that they're about to.
I just overall, like in this last week, I just got the impression they seem to be more willing to do these live events, these demos, and also first of hopefully many free-to-air full races to choose from. Basically, like it's almost like 2 years ago when they used to do before every race weekend, like your favourite ex Grand Prix, like Austria, repeat Windsor. Same thing, but now actually show the race, so that'd be sick. Imagine seeing which Baku race would you like to watch?
Not sure, really.
I'd rather watch another European Grand Prix classic. But no, it's good. It's just it's like if you look at their F1 channel, actually, like the numbers, they're like this last 6 months they've just been. So it's all good. It's all good for the sport, and more content, the better.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where we'll wrap it up then for podcast number 62. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Do leave a like if you did. Let us know what you thought about anything we did talk about in the comments below. As per usual, check out these 2 links in the description and all 3 of our Twitter handles above. Subscribe to this channel for the podcast in the future. We'll see you guys for the next one, which will be the Malaysian Grand Prix review, most likely on the Monday or Tuesday after the race, as that's a new thing we're doing because these 2 have work on the weekends.
I don't.
Well, you don't for this one.
It's an early race, yeah. It's an early race.
You don't have for this one, but we will see you guys then. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.